So, okay, so I can consider it till 12, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. And how much time do I need to give for question answer session? Maybe
So
10-15 minutes.
yes, sir. We can give 10 minutes.
Okay. So uh, there are a few things that I would like to talk about. Like I have seen that it is the theme of the sensitization workshop that we are conducting. It talks about how we can imbibe entrepreneurial behavior, skills, and attitude. So I'll try to stick to that, although I want to speak about a lot of things. And I won't touch upon the definitions of entrepreneurship and all. So what I want to exactly tell you is that at this time, we need to focus on entrepreneurship. And why do we need to focus on entrepreneurship? Because if we say we have a class of, let's say, 100 people, then only 50 gets a job which is as per the academic qualification they have attained. And considering the current scenario, we will see that only 30 people will get job in the future. Rest 70 people will either get a low paid job, below skill job, or won't get a job. So we can understand the kind of situation we are going to get in. So if we want to uh, have jobs, or if we want to have a good livelihood, we will have to focus upon some kind of entrepreneurial or some kind of self-employment activity. Now, the question that instantly comes in our mind, do we have that kind of skill set to start an enterprise? So this is something which we need to focus on, which we need to discuss, because having the right kind of skill and attitude is very, very important in order to get into any kind of activity which involves uh, some amount of risk, where calculated risk has to be taken, which requires a lot of multi-criteria decision making issues. So whether we have that kind of attitude of taking the right kind of decision at the right time, whether we can uh, develop that kind of competency to lead an institution, develop an institution, so that institution building skill, that business or opportunity identification skill, element of innovation is also talked about when we talk about entrepreneurship. That means doing something different is also important. So do we have that skill set or not, or how we can develop that kind of skill set, that kind of behavior? It is very, very important. Many a times you will see people start with a very good idea, they start an enterprise, they sustain it for some time, but slowly it starts declining. Rather than scaling up, it starts declining because we don't have that right kind of behavior which we can put into the enterprise management. So sometimes because of our own behavior, or because of the behavior of the founders, we are not able to manage that organization. We don't have that institution building skill, and because of that, it slowly starts declining after a certain stage rather than scaling up. So we have to talk about all these things. Now, first question that comes to my mind is that everybody will talk about, how do I identify the business opportunity? Where is the business opportunity? There are a lot of people doing business. So there is a business entity in almost every type of opportunity that we can think of. So is there any opportunity for me or not? So that is the primary question that would come to our mind. Now, let me tell you one example. See, until and unless, let me start from here. For every problem, there is a product which tries to solve the customer's problem. Okay, so we develop products and services to solve customers' problem. Now, if there are already products and services to solve customer problem, do we need another product? The question arises that. Now, let me tell you that there is a opportunity for product until and unless that problem is eliminated. Okay, when that problem can be eliminated, or we move to a solution which is very closer to eliminating that problem. How do we decide that whether there are enough product to solve a problem? So the best way to judge whether we have any further opportunity for improvising a existing product or developing new products to solve a problem is the benefits that are there in the existing product that must increase. So benefit should increase. The harm that is based on consumption of the product should decrease, and the cost of developing that solution should also decrease. So benefit should increase, the cost should decrease, and the harm should also decrease. And if this can reach to a level of equity or level where you cannot further change it, then that is the ideal product. And until and unless we do not develop the ideal product, there is opportunity for developing a further product. So this can be one of the way of assessing whether we have opportunity for developing new product or service or not. Second thing that is there, let me give an example for the thing that I told you. Let's say every problem has 5 stages of solution. There can be basic solution to a higher level of solution. Like suppose, imagine a time when the cloth used to be dirty and we used to just put it in water and clean it. So it was a solution, but it was not an ideal solution. So we further developed a product like detergent and other things which could give us a better cleaning, right? So that was a level 2 solution, we can say. If the volume of cloth is more, and we know that a detergent pollutes the environment and all, so we move to a further better solution by having some kind of device like a washing machine kind of thing which can clean clothes in a large volume. But that is also not an ideal solution because a washing machine requires a lot of water to clean, and moreover it is still using detergent. So at the level 4, we have developed a washing machine which can clean clothes with very less water, like vaporization technique has come, wherein washing machine cleans around 6 kgs of clothes in just 1 liter of water, and it does not require any detergent to clean. So that can be considered to be a higher level of solution. Further, there can be solution where we develop some kind of fabric which does not attract dirt. So a cloth which does not get dirty, it will require no cleaning or less cleaning. So that can be a solution which is closer to the elimination of the problem of cleaning clothes. So you understand that as we move towards the ideality of the solution, some kind of product or service emerges. So that is what I am trying to reflect, that there could be opportunity for business if we try to think from the ideality of this solution. Next thing that comes in to our mind, that how do we understand whether we have that kind of a right kind of environment for entrepreneurship or not, whether we can be successful at a place or not. So there are two things important in the growth of an enterprise or sustenance of an enterprise. One is, as an entrepreneur, what kind of ability, attitude, behavior you possess. So you must have certain competency in you. You must have certain achievement motivation in you. Until and unless you don't have the right kind of achievement motivation, you don't have the right kind of competency, you cannot you cannot succeed as an entrepreneur. And here comes the role of education in imparting that kind of skill and attitude, that kind of competency. Like risk taking behavior uh, has to be developed, and it can develop only when you exercise those kind of activity. So generally, uh, when we teach people about entrepreneurship, we help them, or we generally put them into different kinds of management games where they start testing their entrepreneurial risk ability, their decision making, whether they can form a good network or not, whether they can do some activity in a group or not. Okay, so those kind of things are assessed through management games that are there. Then at the same time, you will see that certain achievement motivation has to be there. People enter into entrepreneurship because somebody uh, does not want a boss over them. So they want that autonomy, that kind of independence in their work. So they look for some kind of occupation which can give them that autonomy, and entrepreneurship is one. Some people look for flexibility in their work. They don't want that usual 9 to 5 kind of work. They want a flexible kind of work. Whenever they want, they uh, should be able to work on whatever career they have. So that flexibility may be a motivation. Some people want to earn a good income. So as per their effort they can earn, so they enter into some kind of business, some kind of self-employment activity. So what I am trying to tell, that different people have different motivations to do it, and it is the achievement motivation which helps us elevate in our life. So if you will be, if you are achievement oriented and if you have that right kind of motivation to achieve something, then only you will make your effort, then only you will start imbibing that skill to succeed. So it is very important to have that achievement motivation. Then there are certain competency that is required, like you should have a good connecting skill, because in the process of opportunity identification you will require a knowledge creating skill which is called abductive knowledge creation. Like you have to identify established knowledge from one domain and you have to apply it in another domain. If you are good at connecting skill, if your cognitive apparatuses are prepared in such a manner that you can connect things, you can abduct knowledge from one domain and apply it in another domain, I'm sure you will be able to find a lot of opportunity. So it is about preparing your cognitive apparatus, your senses, in such a way that you see opportunity in uh, things that you see, things that you observe, things that you taste, feel. So your senses are prepared in such a way that you are able to uh, feel things from a different perspective, see things from a different perspective, and you make sense in such a way that it provides you, it gives you a sense of opportunity. So that is connecting skill, and the entrepreneurs must have that connecting skill. So that's why you will see that innovation is linked to entrepreneurship, because those who are entrepreneurs, they generally use this element of innovation, or they use this connecting skill to identify opportunity. Okay, so you will have to exercise that. You have to work on your creativity. You have to work on developing a kind of perspective which helps you see opportunity. Like you might have heard the story of crow and pitcher, and you see the same problem can be seen from two different perspectives. The crow might have thought that whether I can reach the water or the water can reach me. The problem is same, drinking of water. But uh, the same problem is being seen from different perspective. So it is the kind of sense that you are making out of what you are observing. And if you are observing, having the right kind of perspective for what you are observing, you will see an opportunity. And because the crow was able to see the perspective that the water can reach the crow found a solution by putting pebbles into the pitcher, and that's how the level of water increased and the crow was able to drink water. So that's what I'm trying to tell you. Another example I'll give you of this preparation of your cognitive apparatus or senses. Like if I ask you to imagine the 5 greatest achievements of a human mankind, you will see that whatever you must have imagined, that those most of those achievements must have occurred in the recent past. That means in the last 200 or 300 years. My question to you is that why is it so that the greatest most of the greatest achievements of human mankind has taken place in the recent past 200 or 300 years? Can anybody answer this question to me? You can unmute yourself and answer. Why is it that if we imagine the greatest achievement of human mankind, we find that most of the achievements of human mankind, whether it is flying or whether it is reaching the moon or something, or developing computers, it is in the recent past. Why is it so? Anybody would like to answer this? Although I have told many things about it. So you will see that it is because of the abductive knowledge that we have. We already knew fire, but we are now able to utilize fire. So this dynamism that has come within us because of application of knowledge, established knowledge, we are able to develop at a very, very faster speed than what we were developing for the last 40,000 years. Okay, so an entrepreneur has to develop himself or herself for connecting skill, has to prepare the right kind of mental frame, so that whenever you see things and you develop a perspective whether there can be an opportunity for business or not. So that is also very, very important apart from decision making and managerial skills. Third thing that I want to tell you is that entrepreneurs do have a DNA. Everybody cannot do everything. And entrepreneurship is a very diversified activity. So people succeed in entrepreneurship not because just of their individual traits and ability. It is a collective effort rather. Okay. You may be having a very good idea, but you may not have that skill set to develop an institution and actualize that idea. So that kind of limitation is there. So I would suggest that you identify what kind of entrepreneurial DNA you have, whether you are a good institution builder, whether you are a good administrator, whether you can manage people well, whether you can generate good ideas. So those who are inventors, it is not necessary that they might be a good entrepreneur. No. So you need the right combination of people to steer an enterprise. So finding the right match, not just in terms of skill, but in terms of attitude, in terms of behavior, is very, very important in order to sustain and grow an organization. So organization building is altogether a different exercise than just generating a business idea, developing some kind of product or service on that business idea. There are people who have developed great businesses on very, very simple ideas, like processing of food, developing some kind of cafe, because we already know people make tea, coffee, and bakery products and other things. Still, some kind of standardization, some kind of process or product or positioning level of changes or innovation helps in getting success. So that's what I am trying to tell, that you have to identify what kind of entrepreneurial DNA you have. And according to your strength as well as limitation, you will have to work. Either you can develop on your strength, either you can try to work on your weakness, or you can balance. And based on that only, you will have to think of some kind of opportunity. So that is also very, very important. Third thing that comes to my mind is like, not just individual ability or skill or trait is important. The environment is also equally important in the success and growth of enterprise. So having a startup India, stand up India, having entrepreneurial policies at state level or central level, these have lot of repercussion, lot of impact on the growth and sustenance of enterprise, in the promotion of enterprise. So we also need to understand whether the environment is favorable or not. Now, let us understand what is the environment. So the environment consists of the primary enterprise, that is the people who start an enterprise or who want to start an enterprise. So they are the primary stakeholder. Apart from them, there are several other stakeholders who provide support to that primary enterprise. And if that support mechanism does not exist, then no primary enterprise can flourish. So why Bangalore is a hub for a startup, or why Hyderabad is a hub for startup, why Delhi NCR is a hub for startup, why not a place in Bihar or place in Chhattisgarh or place somewhere else? So you will have to understand that environment also plays a very important role in the establishment of enterprise and in the sustenance of an enterprise. Now, what are those entities who are providing the support to the primary enterprise? Those may be the suppliers who are supplying products to you or services to you, to the primary enterprise. They may be the buyers who are buying products. If you do not have enough buyer at a place, you will find it difficult to sustain. So success depends on this ecosystem a lot. So your supplier, your buyer, then there should be enough business development support providing mechanism. There must be consultants who can help you in packaging, who can help you in promoting your product. So enough of digital and social media agencies is required at a place. There must be logistic partners. There must be other partners who can help you develop institutional tie-ups. So whatever is required to develop the business, if you have entities which can support in specific or holistic activities of business development, it will become easier to succeed. So business development partners are important. Then finance is a very important thing. There must be enough uh, sources of finance at a place. So you should have enough number of banks, microfinance institutions, equity partners like venture capitalists and other people. There must be people who can help you with crowdsourcing of funds. Private investors can be a good source of funding. So the more the sources of funding, the more the chances of scaling up, investing, sustaining. So everything is required. Sources of finance is also required. Then having the right kind of policy, having the favorable kind of governance at the state level, is very important. Having the right kind of educational institution to impart that training support, capacity building activity is also important. So you will see why Bangalore has succeeded, because they have the educational cluster there. Why Delhi NCR has succeeded, because they have the educational cluster there. So you get right kind of resource, skill set is available, which is not available in a state which is having some kind of B class or C class town, where the level of education is not that good. So ecosystem plays a very important role in the success of enterprise. So having the good number of educational institution, having good number of incubation centers, having the large number of mentors who can provide mentoring and hand-holding support to the enterprises, having a good number of financial institutions, having good number of suppliers, buyers, everything plays a role in the success of enterprises. I'll stop here for a moment and take questions if we have any. Shilpi ma'am, do we have any question from the participant side?
Sorry, sir, there was some glitch. Can you please tell
Ma'am,
sir once
I was
again?
saying that I wanted to take a few questions if there are
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We
entering
have
questions.
multiple questions. Yes, sir.
Yes, please.
So first, I would like to ask one question from you that
Yes.
as we know that because when we look at the other countries like China and all, we see that every one person there is starting a startup. He's an entrepreneur, but that is not there in India. Although we are moving ahead in this domain and we are trying to enhance more people into the structure, but
Mhm.
from where, like for example, for our students, from where should they get the knowledge of what kind of startup and how they can actually get the funding done? That is the most important because students sometimes want to start their startup and they don't have the funding as such. So, is there any government programs that the students can look in, or are there any schemes, or are there any other websites through which they can actually cross check and go ahead with this their if they want to start any startup?
Ma'am, it's a very big question, but I'll try to justify it. The first thing that I could understand that many of the developing countries or developed countries have a lot of startups, whereas in India we do not have that. So
Hmm.
the first thing that I find as a barrier is the individual himself. We have a job kind of mindset. So until and unless we do not start early and start early experimenting on business ideas,
Hmm.
we will always find ourselves having that barrier, because the moment we get into the job orientation, we do not think of entrepreneurship. So self-employment is our last preference. Rather, it should be our first preference. Let me first experiment and see if I can develop something of my own. If I'm not able to do that, then I should get into a job kind of orientation. So it is like that. Those who have become successful entrepreneur, if you ask them, they always feel that we started late. Even I feel for myself that I should have better experimented at the right stage, right age, rather than thinking of being an entrepreneur at a very lateral stage. So that is
Yes.
that.
And
And
sir, yes, sir.
there is enterprise, you can get into entrepreneurship at any stage. So it totally depends on your risk appetite. Like there is a brand called Tossin Pizza. It is there in Delhi NCR, ma'am.
Hmm.
It is owned by one of my school classmates, and he entered into that business at a lateral stage. So there was someone who was a pizza chef. He started that chain, and my friend was having experience in selling kitchen equipments. With that experience of business development in that sector, he entered into a partnership for business development, and gradually he became a co-founder, a
Hmm.
partner in that business. And that's how that business has been scaling up for the last 3 4 years. So uh, one can enter at a different stage depending on the risk appetite. But my suggestion would be that one should start early. Second thing, from the institutional perspective, if you see the barrier, the kind of environment that is there in their country, it is different than we have. Our kind of whatever policies we have for promoting entrepreneurship, it is based on a developmental approach. So our policies try to address the social problem. Development agenda is there even if we are promoting entrepreneurship. Whereas in West, they really want to develop entrepreneur for profit making. So whatever services they are giving from a consultancy point of view, and they are charging for it. So their orientation is different. In our case, we want to float a fund for promoting startups by SCST, or we want to promote a fund for promoting women entrepreneurship. So ours is more of a development agenda. We incubate people, or we give grant to an institution which can promote in a development specific agenda. So our policy is different than their policy. Then ecosystem is not yet developed in India, barring at few places like Bangalore, Ahmedabad, in Delhi NCR and all. Otherwise, the environment is not developed. Many good ideas, many people initiate in the B class town, but they do not succeed, even though they can't sustain, because they keep on looking for fund for a quite a sustainable time period, and they finally end up getting into a job related to that in some other startup in Delhi or Bangalore. So they sell their idea, or they work on similar idea in a different startup. That kind of story is there. Although there are a lot of opportunity at every place, man.
Right, sir. Thank you, sir. Because we keep motivating our students that through learning PGDM, you are getting to learn marketing and the other specializations. But getting an entrepreneur, becoming an entrepreneur is something that you have to have a vision and a mindset altogether.
Man, I would say one thing. Step one is that they must feel that they have to start. They have to become entrepreneur. That is step one. Second thing, they must explore business opportunity, and there are several ways of exploring business opportunity. One can be that you develop some skill. Let's say if you are an engineer, you want to develop something related to IT. So develop a certain kind of specialized skill in the IT, and then explore opportunities related to that. If you are into let's say fashion technology, explore opportunity related to fashion technology. If somebody is, let's say, studying history, explore opportunity through the knowledge of history. What kind of knowledge dissemination you can do, or what kind of service you can develop for somebody who wants to learn about history or know history. So even that kind of product can be developed. Like in Spain, there is a village of artists. Now, one student of history has developed an app wherein they have developed the smart lighting system. So whenever any visitor comes to that village, they download that app after paying some amount. And the moment they visit a house, that app tells about the history of that house. And they can change the lighting of that house based on the app. So the way you want to see the world, you can see through that app, and you can know about the history of that place. So we have a lot of tourist destinations like that, and a person of history can develop a lot of products for disseminating information. So that's what I'm trying to, whatever knowledge we have, if we have confidence in that, and if we have that mindset that okay, I can create product or service out of that, definitely in collaboration with people from other disciplines, it is possible. So That kind of mindset is required in the student. Generally, our students do not have that confidence. So that due to lack of that confidence, or the you can say parental pressure, or their job mindset, they are not able to experiment these ideas. And many people, those who even start, if they do not have that perseverance to sustain, because what happens, ma'am, uh, see, entrepreneurship is a risk taking activity. Even if we plan it very well, everything doesn't fall into place. There are some things which does not occur as per our plan. So something goes wrong. If we can make what goes wrong into our right, it is about entrepreneurship. So there lies your managerial ability. There lies your perseverance. So if you are perseverant, having perseverance, and if you can change that situation, you will succeed definitely. During this COVID time, you might have seen that everything went topsy turvy. Now, four types of uh, diversification I could uh, find out. Like people, let's say somebody had knowledge of uh, some kind of cleaning, means they were cleaning water or some kind of sewage treatment they were doing. Now, if that business was not successful, what they did, they diversified into another business based on the same skill set and entered into biofertilizer, because chemicals or fertilizers from China were not being imported. So with the same skill set, you diversified something. There were opportunities where the customer was not coming to the company, so they found out new ways of going to the customer. So that was another thing. So different kind of mechanisms were used, and if we try to understand their resilience mechanism, we found that four types of resilience mechanism was used during COVID. So what I am trying to tell you is that if somebody has thought of that, yes, entrepreneurship is going to be my career, and one is really inclined towards it, then definitely things will work. Is there any more question, ma'am, or I'll move ahead?
Yes, sir. Excuse me, sir.
Yes, please.
Good morning, sir. Sir,
Good
I have
morning.
a question.
Yes, please.
Sir, nowadays, many people are coming up with very innovative and different kind of ideas, but most of them
Right.
are not scalable enough. So, like, how
Okay.
can they survive in the long term? Like, you have discussed about diversification or switching into some other, like, business. So, is this the only way out? Like,
See, one should not get into a business which is not scalable, because see, you will see that this entire ball game is different. Entrepreneurship is not usual business. You will see most of the successful businesses that you, or startups that you know, they do not have a very long tenure. The longevity is very less for startups. Mostly the founders would exit after a certain time, and it is happening because this venture that is there, it is highly scalable. When we say scalable business, that means that business must grow at least at the rate of 30% revenue year on year basis. So that kind of business is called a scalable business. And any investor will spend even a single rupee, that investor would expect you to be scalable. That means if the growth prospect is more than 30% year on year basis, then only any investor will invest money in your business or take equity in your business. So scalability must be checked at the business feasibility stage.
oh, yes, sir, absolutely. But, sir, there are people who are dealing with some major issues, but
Okay.
their businesses are not actually scalable. So, like,
Okay.
they are actually solving a good problem, but the scalability is not there. So, should they go for it, or
Yes, they can go for it, but they have to consider this in mind.
that they
You,
won't be able to survive in the long run?
your entire enterprise management should be framed like that. Your strategy should be like that only, so that you sustain. See, generally enterprises which grow, you should have a scalloped kind of, you might have learned that a product has got four stages: introduction, growth, maturity, and decline. So the moment a product reaches a maturity stage, either the benefits that are there in the product, it must uh, increase, it must change, the positioning must change, some technological changes must take place in the product. So some kind of innovation is required at a certain stage. If that is not possible, it is very likely that you will lose the competitive edge.
Okay, sir. Thank
So
you.
scalability must be, or sustainability must be thought from that competitive landscape perspective. Any more question?
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Kishan this side, sir.
Yes, please.
So the today whole session is all about entrepreneurship and startup. So
Yes,
we have heard a concept of young entrepreneurship.
right,
Then we also heard a concept of women entrepreneurship.
right,
And if we bifurcate the women entrepreneurship, we also heard a concept of widow entrepreneurship. Though
right.
it sounds quite misogynistic, but I don't mean that. So I'm
Mhm,
talking about the Malvika Hegde, the
mhm.
current CEO of CDEL. So
Yes.
after her husband's death,
Mhm,
she took the reins in her own hand, and that
mhm.
too at a very crucial juncture, and
Right.
somehow create a new saga of resurrection. So,
Mhm.
my question is that what is for your point of view on this, and what do you think? What will be the future of the company?
See, it totally depends. Entrepreneurship or any enterprise is not just a single person's, uh, you can say, scope of work. Generally, it will entirely depend what kind of a support team she is having. Okay, because
Okay, sir.
although she is the decision maker, but that decision is not taken in isolation. Generally, it is taken in consultation with internal and external stakeholders. So if somebody is taking only internal decision, the company will surely die after some time.
Okay, sir.
When the decision is taken in consultation with internal and external decision makers or advisory support, then only it survives. Okay. And for that, what kind of, let's say, network, peer network she is using, what kind of mentor support she is taking, because even big businesses, all everybody take some or the other mentorship support. Like if Reliance Group is there, they might be taking mentorship support from ISB or Harvard or any other place. But everybody has to take that kind of thing. Nobody takes decision in isolation,
Okay, sir.
right? See, even at the startup stage, when people think that they can take decision on themselves, then only certain decisions go wrong. So that's why this incubation concept has come, because incubation is a place where a lot of mentors are there and people can assist in taking the right kind of decision. Similarly, we have industry association. A peer is required. Okay, so that it helps you learn from the peer, it helps you socialize with peers, so that you can develop business tie-ups, you can develop advisory groups, you can take better decisions with the support of peers. I hope I have satisfied your ask.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Any more question? Ma'am, I had prepared two sets of slides, and one was talking about what kind of individual traits and abilities one should have. Many things I have talked about, because I thought that if I run through those slides, I might take longer time. That's why I didn't use those slides. Another set of slide was prepared mainly because I knew that many of the faculty members are there in the group.
Yes, sir.
So I wanted to tell how, let's say, gyms as an institution can develop its entrepreneurial ecosystem. And for that, I have prepared a slide. I'll be sharing both these slides. although I don't see I have time for it. So, but I'll try to tell a few things about that. Like as a, you might be having some kind of center in that, and there might be few dedicated faculty or at least part-time faculty support provided to that. Now, as a ecosystem support center, I would say you have to do certain things. First thing, you have to keep on conducting this kind of seminar, which is for the purpose of sensitization of students. So if we want to develop entrepreneurs in your institution, the first step is sensitization. So conduct as many sessions of sensitization as possible. It can be generic, how people should think of entrepreneurship, why entrepreneurship is a career. Then you might also consider on certain thematic areas like edutech and entrepreneurship, fashion entrepreneurship, clean tech entrepreneurship. Similarly, you can take up themes, and you can conduct just 1 hour session on, let's say, blockchain and based on entrepreneurship. So some expert from blockchain can tell the students what are the opportunities in that sector. Some person can tell about the wellness sector, some person can tell about any other sector. So thematic as well as generic. So sensitization, if you find enough interest is there in the student for any particular sector, then conduct an EDP of at least 1 week duration or 15 days duration, in which the students within that thematic area should be able to understand what is the process of identifying opportunity in that sector. Have enough industry mentors who can tell about business opportunity identification from a theoretical point of view as well as from the industry point of view. So that should be understood. Then how an enterprise should be registered, what should be the legal entity, why LLP is becoming popular. So how to register an enterprise must be told to the students in the EDP part. Then since you are based in Delhi, there are a lot of support institution in Delhi, like Development Commissioner of MSME is there, DC MSME office is there. If craft and other things are the theme, DC Handicraft is there. Then you have SIDBI there. So lot of support institutions are there which can tell the students about different government schemes which are there for the students in different sectors, so that they understand the enablers in the environment. Then there are other state level incubation institutions that are there. So sometimes you can have session from them. Then one of the faculty from that group can start working on as some of the prospective areas where some kind of a grant could be feasible, like DST gives grant for conducting the entrepreneurship awareness. Although that might be a very meager kind of grant, but still this will help you. Like they are giving for conducting ESC, they are giving a very meager kind of grant. Then there are grants for conducting FDPs. There are grants for conducting field visits. There are grants for conducting technology entrepreneurship programs. So try to avail that grant by applying through the right channel to the prospective institution. So Skill Council can be one of the prospective agencies which can give you grant. DST can be one of the prospective agencies which can give you grant. TriFed can be one of the agencies which can give you grant. So rural development, Ministry of Rural Development can be one of the agencies which can give you grant. Then if you want to develop an outreach activity, with the help of the cell and the students that you have, then you can pick up some kind of, let's say, underdeveloped area, and you can develop some kind of plan. Let's say what kind of technology intervention can help the artisans of a certain place or of a certain domain. So that kind of training intervention can also be provided with the help of your faculty support as well as student support, and those can attract the state or central level grant. So there could be some avenues that you can explore for generating some funds which can support your activities. So that's what I wanted to present in that, and my slides do have elaborate activities mentioned there. So I would suggest that some initiation should be taken in order to attract some kind of grant. It may be CSR grant, it may be grant from the government, it may be grant from other support institution like financial institution, or any R&D institution or skill imparting institution. So those kind of grants must be attracted. At the same time, some internal initiatives must be taken to conduct different kinds of activities for motivating the student, providing mentoring and handholding support to the students. And I'm sure you might be having some kind of incubation cell within your institution, or if you don't have one, then look for the MSME grant or DST grant for developing an incubation center. Ma'am, that is all from my side. If there are questions from any of the faculty members or any of the students, I would love to take it.
Sure, sir. Thank you
I'll
so
share
much.
those slides. So those slides have a due
Yes, sir.
mention about all these things.
Yes,
Because
sir.
of
And
paucity of time, I didn't present it because I thought it will take more time.
I can understand, sir. And also noted all the points that you have spoken regarding how gyms can actually initiate in terms of entrepreneurship, including various domains in terms of grants and everything. And also, like I have also been part of this Women Entrepreneurship Development Program, which
Okay.
was funded by DST long
Okay.
back. So I know how, how the government is actually taking the initiative. It's just that we need to be aware
Did
of
you
these
do
developments.
any EDP and all in that area?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
There's an EDP and there's a WEDP. So these
Yes,
were
yes,
two different these grants which the government were giving,
yes.
and yes, sir. And they were very beneficial because it actually makes if we talk about the WEDP grants that the government DST is providing, it is
Mhm,
giving us a lot of information and availability to the women to
mhm.
reach out to these different aspects of study in terms of entrepreneurship and get the maximum benefit out of it.
Yes,
So it
yes.
has benefited a lot, uh, but we are also in the process to get into many
Ma'am,
more such.
SIDBI also gives a grant. There is a Swavlamban program of SIDBI,
Okay, sir.
which gives grant for somebody who wants to develop a self enterprise. स्वावलंबी बनने के लिए grant देते हैं, and they
Okay.
conduct programs also. Like
Yes, sir.
last year, I had conducted several programs for people who are in the field of art, those who are artists. For
Oh,
them, we had conducted a program that how, based on their skill set, they can develop it into an enterprise and how they can operate it.
yes, sir. I'm
So
sure so these all things are really, really helpful for all the students listening out here.
yes,
And I'm sure the faculty members listening here will take this forward in terms of entrepreneurship in various domains that they are taking up.
yes, yes. And if there are questions even at a further stage, I would love to take it, and I'm open to mentorship anytime, ma'am.
That's
Anytime.
so, that's really, really thankful, sir. In that case, we require and we always keep aiming for such people who are trying to build up institutes in this level because now with education we also need to take the advancement of the students to get into this entrepreneurship, which is very, very important.
Yes, yes, yes. And Delhi is a very fantastic place in terms of all these things, because people have a lot of advantage by being there, ma'am. You have lot of startups where the students can work. You have lot of incubation centers there. Support institutions are there. So you can avail everything. Everything is there. One just has to get that right kind of motivation to jump into it, and things
Yes,
will
sir.
start working.
We have ESL also, which is
Okay.
yeah, which is also part of today's workshop. They
Okay.
have also been in collaborating with a lot of incubators,
Okay.
and we are also into the benefit of taking maximum through the incubators
Okay.
across the.
Okay.
Uh,
Ma'am, in
yes,
case you have the alumni platform, then
yes, sir.
please explore if any of your alumni is in any foundation and all. They
Hmm.
could be very helpful in linking some of
Yes,
their activity through you. And if they are able to give some kind of project for some CSR activity, you will be able to generate some fund, as well as you will get some exposure in the field.
yes, sir. We have a large alumni contact, sir, and we keep exploring in this platforms as well. We have this alumni week, alumni activity which keeps coming up. So in that, we try to see the more prospects from these alumni.
Like we have around 2,500 alumni who are into business in different parts of the country.
Yes,
So
sir.
they are our assets, man.
Hmm.
Many of these sessions are taken by our alumni.
Alumni,
They,
yes, sir.
they volunteer themselves for it because they are businessmen. So they are basically able to speak what they are doing.
Yes, and they are the best people because they are at the right organizations and they can actually help in this particular platform to our students. So that is why also we are exploring, and we have been working on this since long, and we have a long, I mean, very high alumni network. So they are in various departments helping
Please
out.
strengthen it and please
Yes.
utilize that.
Thank you. Thank
Okay.
you, sir. It was a really wonderful session. I've been listening it throughout, and I could understand that how from small sessions like this, we can get along with small detailings,
Yes.
which can actually build up to something that we want. Sometimes we get to see it through large scale platforms, but small sessions like this, which ISC is conducting,
Mhm.
part of gyms, it's we always keep looking at, and we have many other sessions coming across, sir. So hope to see you in that as well.
Sure, ma'am. Sure. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. I would also like to thank Dr. Sharma for calling me and asking me for this session. So
Yes,
I
sir.
really thank him for taking initiative, and I
Thank you, sir.
thank you for coordinating everything. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, sir.
So I should leave, ma'am.
So we are just closing in a minute.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you so much, sir, for such an enlightening session for today. Starting from the beginning till the end, we all have gained some valuable knowledge today. We are very thankful to you, sir, that you took out time to conduct this session for us, and we look forward to have more enriched sessions with you in future. So thank
Thank
you
you.
so much, sir.
Thank you, Raj. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.